Hello, my name is Carl Surrey and this is a video tutorial which I'm making for the Facebook group called Fans of Serif Software, but it will also be available to other people on YouTube as well. And this is part 2 of a beginner's guide. Part 1 looked at the basic layout of Serif Software's PhotoPlus. I am using version 8X, but this tutorial and the previous one will work in older versions as well, because the basics haven't altered that much from version to version. And in this video tutorial I want to look at adjustments and layers and why it is better to use layers rather than just using the adjustments as standalone programs. So to demonstrate this, I have got the same picture open twice, and I'm going to edit one just using adjustments as standalone programs, and then I'm going to alter the second one in exactly the same way using layers, and then hopefully demonstrate to you why it is better to use them as layers. Unless you know what it is the end result you're looking for, and you're confident using the adjustments as standalone programs, you can do it that way or use layers. I prefer to use them as layers. There are different ways to open adjustments. The first one, which opens them as standalone programs, is go up to the image menu, go to adjust, and there you can see the list of all the different adjustments that you can make. This list is slightly longer than the list that you can make as layers, because there's things like shadows and highlights, clarity, and replace color, transfer color. These are not in the list that you can make as layers. And when you open one of these, say for example levels, it is a standalone program in the sense that you can move it around the screen, and there's no layer showing up in the layer display area down the bottom here. So you can, if this is in the way, you can move it out the way. And the same goes for all the other tools that are open via the image menu. I'll just close this down for a minute. If I come over to the adjustments on the right hand side of the screen and click on levels, the levels tool opens up in the box where the adjustments were listed, and as you can see down here, it has been added as a layer above the background. So what I'll do is I will get rid of that now. Now I'll demonstrate the two different types of ways of opening, and I'll just go back to the editing this picture just using the standalone programs. So I'm going to go back to image, adjust, and levels. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to move this middle adjustment slider to the right to make it slightly darker, and the number in this gamma box will change, and I'm going to go down to 0.70. It's not that easy to be that precise, I'm just going to type in 0.70 and then click OK. So that has made that image slightly darker. And now I'm going to add another adjustment. I go image, adjust, go down to vibrance, and I'm going to move the slider to the right to add more color, and this time I'm going to move it up to 50, quite high. 50. Again, it's easier to type. If you know where you're aiming for, it's easier to type it in, and then just click OK. The next adjustment I'm going to add is image adjust, and then I'm going down to lens filter, by default the lens filter starts off at warm filter 1. If you click on this little arrow, it will drop down to different filters that are available. I'm going for cool filter 2, which makes it a much bluer sky. And then I'm going to lower the density down to 30. And then click OK. Now that is the 3 different adjustments just using standalone versions of the adjustment tools. So the next part of this tutorial will be to edit the next picture in the same way but using layers. As you can see, I still only have the one background layer with this image. So I'm going to select the other version of this image, and this time I'm going to do exactly the same thing, the same settings, but I'm going to use them as layers. Okay, so with this second image, I'm going to come over to the levels adjustment in this panel over here, click on that, and like I said before, the adjustment tool will be displayed here above the levels area. Again, I'm going to move the middle adjustment slider to the right, and like before, if you know what you're aiming for, it is easier to type it in. So I'm going to go for 0.70, and then if you come down here you can see that I've got the 2 different layers, and when I've clicked on the bottom layer, this menu comes back, and you click on that layer, the tool returns. So I want to add the vibrance layer next. Now, as they are not visible here and I want to open it above this levels layer, I'm going to use the half black and white circle, and I'm going to come up to vibrance, and now the vibrance tool is displayed above these, above the layers display area. So as before, I'm going to move this up to 50. No, I'm going to type it in. 50. And so now I want the next adjustment. Again, I need it as a layer above vibrance. So I'm going to come down to this adjustment button again, click on that, and from the menu I'm going to select lens filter. So again, the lens filter tool is displayed in the box above the layers. So I'm going to use the drop down menu, use Cool Filter 2, and I'm going to lower the density to 30. I'll type it in this time. So basically that is 2 versions of the same image adjusted in the same way. Difference is this version is all done on the individual picture, and the other version is done using different layers, all the same 3 tools but done in layers. So in the next part I would like to explain why it is better to have done it this way. So the reason why it is better to use layers is because it's better to make additions to any editing that you have done by using layers. If I go back to this first picture where I just use the adjustments as individual programs, if at this point I feel that there was an adjustment that wasn't quite working, say for example the vibrance, I mean admittedly I could go back up to image, adjust, vibrance, and then lower the vibrance down a bit, quite a bit. But you can't, and or I would have to use the undo button to get rid of the lens filter, and then to press the undo button again to get rid of the vibrance filter adjustment, and then redo the vibrance adjustment to a new setting, and then redo the lens filter adjustment to get that back. But using layers in this other version, if I want to go back and alter vibrance, you just click on the relevant layer and your adjustment tool is there and ready to be used once more. So I mean, if you had like loads and 6 or 7, 8 adjustments layers, if you wanted to go back to one, you could go back to any of them at any point. So you can go back to the levels, make other adjustments. So it does make going backwards to re-evaluate any adjustments you have made much easier if you are using levels rather than using the adjustments as standalone programs. Then all that you have to do is to when you've finished is to merge your layers and then save under a new name. But another thing you can do is, if you wanted to see what the image would look like without the vibrance, for example, you can turn the vibrance layer off so it's no longer visible within the main image. You can turn it off and on and off and on. And if you don't like that has been added, you can just highlight that particular layer, right click, and then go up to delete. So you have much more control over the end result by using layers than just using the things as individual programs. I hope this has been of some help to you, and don't forget to have a look on Facebook and look up the Fans of Serif Software, where there are many written tutorials that I have made that can be downloaded from the file section. Thank you very much.